Well, as our loved ones or we ourselves come into our more senior years of life, there are certain topics that demand to be addressed, and probate is one of those. Simply put, it's the process of administering a will and estate, and sure enough, if you have gone through it, you'll have plenty of questions.
Absolutely. Joining us now with some insight on the process, our attorneys Kari Stevens and Kari Schmutz. They are here from Jeffrey Burr. It's great having you. Welcome
Thanks
in.
for having us.
Hi, welcome.
Yes.
So explain what probate is exactly.
Well, probate is basically a court-supervised process of transferring assets to the deceased person's beneficiaries if there's a will, or to their heirs by law under intestate succession if there is no will.
Gotcha.
So it involves court filings, settling debts, winding up business affairs, obtaining a court order that authorizes the personal representative to actually transfer those assets over from the deceased person to their beneficiaries.
Go ahead.
No, well, and we often say you're going through probate, and because going through involves often a lengthy process. This is something that can take how long?
Yeah, I typically tell clients from start to finish, it's usually at least 6 to 8 months if everything's smoothly.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get more complicated issues, and it can take sometimes even years if there's family fighting and other types of things.
Yeah.
But if you have it all kind of written down, there's not much for the family to fight about if everything's down to the letter, possibly.
Right, yeah, I mean, if you plan ahead and get your ducks in a row, it can be a lot simpler process and kind of keeps the fighting out and the trouble away.
You don't necessarily have to do the probate, but it helps.
Correct.
If you like your family.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Sure.
It really is a favor
Yeah.
to the people who, carry on your legacy, isn't it? If you really arrange things ahead of time. And yet there's all these kind of surprises that can come up during the probate process, isn't that right?
It's true. I mean, the will, or writing your own estate plan, the will, the revocable living trust, gives you an opportunity to state your wishes, who you would like to carry out your wishes, who you would like your property to go to. It doesn't leave a lot of questions out there.
Yeah.
If you're silent, then nobody really knows what your wishes are, how to carry those out.
And that's what happens if you die without a will. All of a sudden now the courts are making those decisions for you.
Exactly.
And it's not always going to be the decisions you wanted.
Yeah, the state has a default set of rules. If you don't have a will, here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Some people like those rules, but most people don't. It's not what they would have wanted if they would have done it themselves.
Gotcha.
So you help people through the probate process.
We do, yes. So they would come in to schedule a consultation with us, and we would determine whether or not a probate is needed or appropriate in the case.
Yeah.
Probate's only required if there are assets that are titled in an individual's name alone, so there's no transfer on death designation like a POD or TOD or a joint tenancy, which would bypass probate as well. So you really have to look at whether or not the person has assets titled in their name and what the value of those assets are, because there's several types of probate depending on the value.
By any chance, if we have property
Interesting.
in another state, does that kind of confuse things a little bit? I'm sure it might.
Yeah, that can get really tricky. If you have property located in multiple states, you have to do a probate in each state where you
Oh,
have
wow.
property. So sometimes you have
my
3
goodness.
probates going on at the same time in 3 different states, and
Wow.
it gets very expensive and
Yeah, no
takes
doubt.
forever.
Yeah.
My mom went through probate when my dad passed away in 2011, and it ended up being a lengthy process. And I would say that she probably feels she could have planned for it better. How can people plan ahead of time, either individually or as a couple, so that things are carried out with the most ease?
Yeah, so the main thing you can do is come see an attorney, go see an estate planning attorney. We sit down with each individual family. We go over what the family's like, what challenges they have, what goals they're trying to meet, and we can put in a place that really can protect their family if they pass away, and just make sure it's a smooth and easy process.
Yeah. There's always that one person that's a little too proud to actually get the ball rolling, but in the history of the world, no one's beat it yet. There will come a time where this will be
true.
needed,
Yeah.
so
Very
we might as well
true.
get it done.
Yeah.
It's great work that you do, and we appreciate you coming in, clearing
Thank
up some
you.
questions.
Great to
Thanks
have
for
you
having
guys.
us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, if you need help, you can, with probate, you can reach out to Jeffrey Burr Limited. They are located on West Charleston, just west of Wallapai. Their number, their website, both on your screen. Jeffrey Burr, proud sponsor of the Morning Blend.